Hi, I am Professor Amitav Banerjee. I have been an epidemiologist in the armed forces for over 2 decades. After taking voluntary retirement from the armed forces, I have been working as a professor in epidemiology in a medical school in India. And since the past 2 years, I am Professor Emeritus in epidemiology and public health. In the armed forces, I had lot of opportunities for field investigation. Basically, I was a field epidemiologist, which used to be known earlier as shoe leather epidemiology, where we used to really go interact with the people, see the terrain, and I had occasion to investigate outbreaks in different parts of India. And India is a very diverse country with diverse climate, diverse terrain, diverse people. So I had a lot of exposure to field epidemiology, including rodents, insects, insect vectors, malaria, tribal areas, and and I have been following these outbreaks in recent years because I had investigated all types of outbreaks, airborne diseases, respiratory diseases in the armed forces because we have a closed community, barracks, and then the troops are deployed in different forest or different areas where we have to do appraisal of the potential risk. So I'll be talking today with this experience. Of course, we have been working on rodents in the armed forces, though don't directly have any experience with hantavirus because as you coming to know, hantavirus is very rare, very rare. It's an accident. Rodents are everywhere. It's an accident. The virus is in the rodents, and from rodents, the rat droppings from the excreta, from the urine, from the saliva, they have the viral load. And rodents are everywhere. So therefore, the hantavirus is everywhere. The infection is everywhere. In South India, they have done some surveys on blood donors. In 2005, they found more than 5% blood donors were having IgM antibodies. So there are many subclinical cases also. And of course, case fatality rate can be very high, up to 40%, 30%. But whatever few cases estimates we have made are from the serious cases, those who are admitted. So that is one aspect. And since the sero surveys have found antibodies in people in the population, in the general population, so we cannot rule out large number of subclinical infection. So if we factor in that, the infection fatality rate may come down. In fact, in India, it is between 5 to 15%. Of course, we have got a different type of, they have different strains of hantavirus. It's a big umbrella. It comes under the family of Buniviridae and genus Hanta, and then there are different species. So the Indian versions, they cause mostly hemorrhagic and renal failure, kidney failure. And the present hantavirus on the SIP, I'll be talking of that. It is due to the Andes strain, which is found in Latin America, Argentina, Andes. And one thing which has been in the air since, I mean, Andes virus is also being promoted to be in the air. And one day that Andes strain have a person-to-person transmission. So this something which cause a discordant note, and we checked up the literature. I forgot to tell you, we are also a voluntary organization, uh, universal health organization. This we established during the pandemic when a group of us came together uh, with data scientists from IIT Bombay. We other epidemiologists, professors in epidemiology, clinicians, journalists, health economists. So we have all voluntary people came together and we registered an organization, Universal Health Organization. So we are a public health watchdog. We are a public health watchdog and we are writing columns. We have got a website, uho.org.in. We have international collaboration also. A couple of years back, we had Professor Peter McCullough come over to our program in Delhi. So he also encouraged us. In fact, it was his idea that we should have an independent organization. And we have been without any conflict of interest. So we would like to put on record our assessment of the present hantavirus. There's a lot of panic, there's a lot of media hype, and we feel that there are many things. As a field epidemiologist, I find that some things doesn't fit in. Some things are not fitting in. Uh, Epidemiology is something like detective work. It cannot be done nowadays. We are having modeling, we are having projections, we are having some expert opinion, and we keep on uh, re- recirculating those opinions without any fresh. So when you go to the field, when you examine something like detective work, you have to go back again and again to the scene of crime when the evidence doesn't, I mean, incomplete. Either the evidence is incomplete or the evidence on which we think we are working or which we assume, and there is some discordant notes. So here we find something very discordant, particularly regarding the Andes virus, which has been promoted as it is person to person spread, contagious. And now there are cases coming, those who are disembarked on 10th May, Canary Island, they landed for almost a couple of months or 1 month. They were moving around in an enclosed ship. And now those passengers who have gone back to their countries, you expect to get cases from them only if the source is the ship. Why I will be telling you? Because going by evidence, going by published literature, even the Andes virus does not transmit easily from person to person, except by body fluids, not by cough or sputum. Though the Andes virus and the New World hantaviruses, they cause the pulmonary, cardiopulmonary symptoms, I mean pathology. Like the hantavirus in the old world, they cause the renal and hemorrhagic. In the northern hemisphere, it is the pulmonary. But pulmonary does not mean that it is causing the airway. The viral load is in the airway or in the uh, bronchioles or pulmonary passages. It is in the blood vessels. So there's another reason. There's a pathophysiological reason why the hantavirus is not easily transmissible from person to person. The reason is the hantavirus, the viral load is inside the vessels, endothelial damage. It is not in the airways like respiratory viruses. And even the lung syndrome is caused due to the involvement of the vessels, blood supply to the lung, their endothelial. It is not the airway. The pathology is not in the airway. The pathology is in the circulation system to the lungs. So it is inside the vessels, the viral load. So rarely it will cause respiratory like spread, which is spreads faster. That's why it is in the blood and the endothelial damage, blood clotting, hemorrhaging. That's why the source of transmission, source of infective material is the body fluids, semen, blood exchange, maybe saliva, maybe very less load. It's something like how HIV and hepatitis B, the same mode of spread is up in hantavirus. And therefore, person to person spread by casual contact is not recorded in the literature. There have been studies, there have been meta-analysis. We'll be projecting some of those studies. Therefore, this is not fitting. The sequence of events, just to recapitulate, the 1st April, the ship was in Argentina. There was some bird watching. This couple went, they say, and some landfill was there where the rat droppings may be there. So one thing which it occurred to me, ki only these two people go when the ship has in Argentina for sightseeing. So anyway, let us. I mean, usually we expect the two elderly people may be accompanied by some other passengers or a tour guide, or so. Why we are taking these only as the case 0 and index case only exposed to he comes to the ship, and the after that number of people get sick who are on board, uh, and we are saying Andes virus is person to person spread is the possibility, and 9 people got during the time it was at sea, this cruise. 9 people, 8 people got infected. I mean, they got sick. So is it, if it is not spreading person to person, how out of 140 people, 9 people got sick? That means if you go by this, that means you have cleared any contamination inside the ship, which I find is not examining the evidence very strongly, as in a crime scene. We are going for a remote possibility that there was one person who brought the infection from rat dropping, he got infected, and then other people are getting it from him. Because Andes virus is spread person to person, it will generate fear in the general population. Distortion of the, I mean, not properly investigated. There are gaps in investigation. I would like to have gone back to the ship and seen every nook and cranny. There is nothing unusual about rodents on ship. Ships are known to harbor rodents because lot of ration is there, lot of food material is there, lot of waste food is there, and it was uh, docked at Argentina, where they say ki this Hantavirus and this strain is there, the rats are there. So what prevents a rat or any rodent when it was docked at Argentina to come to the sea, and it may go unnoticed? I have seen rodents coming out from anywhere. In fact, long back when I was in heading the outbreak investigation team in my office, I just opened my drawer and a rat came out of that. So it's nothing unusual. So ship is such a big thing. They are such a woodwork. Some yeah. Okay, if the even the rats, live rats are not there, rat droppings, maybe ship may get contaminated by rat droppings. The ration may have got contaminated. I mean, there are so many possibilities which are more plausible than a person to person transmission. That is the point we want to convey from Universal Health Organization, because we have been communicating our analysis during the pandemic, on the COVID pandemic also. We have got a website, uho.org.in. We have been writing columns in newspaper, and most of our what we had written those days, it was taken as misinformation, or but in retrospect, in hindsight, 90% of our version came out to be true, including about natural immunity. That's about COVID. But hantavirus also, they are making a lot of mistakes in assuming blindly that this person is patient 0 and he is the source of infection, which the available literature, there is a discordant note. I will tell you the available literature. They have the study. So 1st April, the ship has come from Argentina. 11th April, the Dutchman, that is the elderly person, patient 0, he dies on board. And 24th April, St. Helena, his body is offloaded, and his spouse also gets down. 24th and 24th April, British man is also disembarks and he is sick. He is flown to Johannesburg, South Africa, and he is now out of danger in 24th April. 24 April, again, 28 passengers get off and remain well. 26th April, German dies on ship in harbor. And Cape Verde refuses to dock the ship because of fear of so one German dies. So all this is happening on the ship after the old man has come back from his whatever sightseeing and bird watching in Argentina. So it conveys that everything is transmitted from person to person. But the available literature does not support it. And the wife also dies. She is disembarked on St. Helena, and then she is going back to her native place in Netherlands. En route, she falls sick and she comes back to South Africa and she just succumbs. And there was a bit of a media hype that one of the flight attendant also got sick who are in the same flight as this Dutch woman was going. And there was a big hype that in the aircraft also they could have been. But subsequently that flight attendant was found to be negative for hantavirus. So that fear is down, but they hyped it that time, but they are not hyping that it is negative. Then 2nd May, WHO recommends passengers will stay in the cabin. So another problem here is like even okay, let us assume it is person to person spread. So in person to person spread, you should not be enclosed in small cabin. The best would have been to be on the deck open. And even if it is due to some rodent contamination of the ship, which appears more likely if you see the sequence of events, because 9 passengers getting infected, getting sick after the first passenger dies on 11th April, and then by the time it reaches Canary Islands, 9 passengers and 1 or 2 deaths have taken place. Out of 149 passengers, one index case and 9 getting infected is almost giving a secondary attack rate of almost 7-8%. It is not in fitting in the Andes, even if it's an Andes virus, even Andes virus is not easily transmitted from person to person. There have been a study of meta-analysis, 476 cases they have analyzed in depth, and they found a lot of biases of like Chile. Chile was a study, big study, 476 cases. They took a very detailed history. They again reanalyzed. So what happens in a house-to-house survey? One person gets sick in the house, and the second person gets sick, and it is assumed that it is person to person. But there we forget that you have to see different dimensions in epidemiology. There's the environment, host, that the person, then host and the environment and the agent. Agent is the virus. That is in the rodents, and that is in the environment. Unsanitary environments, poor waste disposal, poor food, they draw the rodents. So all the host, all the people in a family or even in a neighborhood or even in a same hotel or a same lodge or a same ship, they all are sharing the same environment. So person may be getting exposure from the same environment at different points of time and they are falling sick and you are assuming that it is person to person spread. They have analyzed the data and they found this was the case, that the environment was the confounding factor. And when they control for that, when they eliminated that the environment is not to be blamed for the secondary cases, out of 476, they found only 3 cases, which maybe, again, the word is maybe person to person because they could exclude the common environment. So out of 476, 3 secondary cases, that comes to a 0.6% secondary attack rate in the Andes strain, which they say is person to person, 0.6%. And here in a ship 149, 9 cases, it is something is not falling in place. Elementary, my dear Watson. If I say if it is detective work, so we have to think like Sherlock Holmes. All the possibilities. The ship, how can you exclude rats on the ship? And definitely the shipping company will not admit there are rats on the ship because it is bad for business. There is a conflict of interest. They must have thrown it out, or at the time of inspection there is no rats. But that doesn't mean the ship environment has not been contaminated by rat dropping. The ration has not been contaminated, and you have got a enclosed ventilation and ship, and you are not letting people go out of the cabins, all huddled. So the pathophysiology, endothelial blood vessels are got a viral load, not the respiratory passages. Then your timing, one person getting sick, and the incubation period is pretty long. It's almost 8 weeks, 1 week to 8 weeks. Lot of variation. So now these are the present gaps in the investigation. These are the present gaps in the investigation. It has not been properly investigated because I think we are losing the epidemiology skills. People are making mathematical models, people are assuming things, and then the media takes over. Media takes over that because the person to person spread causes more panic and it gives more attention. And what is the future of the hantavirus? Hantavirus will stay with us for ages because anything which is zoonosis in the rodents, you cannot eliminate it. So we have to be reasonably without getting panic. And this was highly, I mean, the picture given to the public conveys to the public by this drama or lot of spacesuit and other things. Okay, precautions, okay, people were, but always projecting in on the different channels. So it causes public panic and stigmatizing person. This is when it's an exotic disease, it's an endemic disease. It's endemic in all the continents. So how we are preventing something from coming to some virgin area? All these precautions, drills are for that, not for endemic. We take reasonable precautions, particularly for healthcare workers, reasonable precautions, but really like HIV/AIDS, blood-borne and other things. Those precautions, universal precautions when you are handling with body fluids. But the yeah, is that it's a different strain, Andy strain and all that. So that is something. Until unless there have been some mischief, we don't know. At present, we are not assuming that. But there are other information, other background information, like 2023, 24, I think. There was a big collaboration with the university, Korean university and Moderna, and the mRNA vaccine for hantavirus. Large scale collaboration, the sharing of genomic and they have committed to mRNA vaccine for hantavirus. Usually, one assumes that you make a vaccine for any disease which has got a public health implication. So it's not a hantavirus is unfortunate. It's something like an accident. You go to a jungle, you are bitten by a snake, and by the time you are evacuated, you may succumb to the venom. So hantavirus is like that. It's an accident. It's not a common public health problem, but if it is narrative is done as if it is spreading on the ship, and if you think it is person to person, you should have immediately evacuate all the passengers and disperse them. But you kept them on the ship in the cabin, not even in the open. And even if it is say ship is contaminated, rats and all, or rat droppings or rat virus, whatever hantavirus contaminated, rats have come and gone. You don't know so many things. And then after all the disembarkation of all the passengers, the crew is sailing in the same ship going to here. They should have all should have disembarked and the whole ship should have been disinfected. Each corner should have searched for any rats or any evidence of rat. Rats have been ages in the ships, so it's nothing unusual for rats to be on the ship. And just giving a clean sheet that there is no rodents is a So it is not fitting. There is something missing in the initial investigation. And what is the future? As I said, the title for today's session is what is the future of hantavirus? Hantavirus will remain. I should specify future of this outbreak. Future outbreak, this should be a dead end if everything is not hyped up. Now they may, all these passengers have disembarked. Among them, there may be some cases because all have shared the same environment, or if it is person to person, or it should not propagate further. It will not propagate further. There is no evidence to show that it will propagate person to person. A reasonable precaution has to be taken just for blood-borne infection. We are so many people living with HIV, living with hepatitis. They know how to take precaution. It doesn't spread. Even HIV also, it was stigmatized in the initial stages. They were stigmatized. They were so same thing happens here also. If you hype it up, these people will be unnecessarily stigmatized and the fear. And one, as I said, other relevant information, the vaccine is almost ready and the Moderna stocks have also gone up since the hantavirus outbreak. So many people will be worried and they will take the vaccine, and they may become mandatory also that anybody going on travel on cruise ship on enclosed spaces will take, because hantavirus is spread person. I mean, these are the other accompaniments when thing is taken out of proportion. One has to keep in mind. And they invest lot of dollars, billions of dollars in vaccine. So naturally, the conflict of interest become very, very important to consider. There are other conflicts of interest. And even the WHO has got conflict of interest. It has named unknown disease X, next pandemic disease X. And in the disease X list, there's a list, hantavirus is in the list. So disease X is waiting for disease X. Nipah is in the list. Last year they did a scare of Nipah from India. It just fizzled out because Nipah, Hanta, they are all zoonoses. Nipah is in the bat, Hanta is in the rat, rat. So it's an accident. People come in contact with that. If they are educated, they can take care. So Nipah virus, that also vaccine is in the pipeline, mRNA vaccine. Now mRNA vaccine can be developed at warp speed for anything. Then they have to make the scare of a hantavirus. Actually, also that it's an accident. But if you blow it out of proportions, and this is a great opportunity which they would not like to miss. On a ship, the whole world attention is on that ship. What is happening to the passengers? They get sick, and it is blown out. And then if you start the RT-PCR and then the contact tracing and quarantine, then the whole thing would be complete. Just like the COVID. And I was listening to the former COVID advisor to the White House COVID, Deborah Bucks. She was saying that we should do RT-PCR for everybody, all the passengers, containers, all. I was very afraid, and we still need to be afraid, because if they start that, and RT-PCR, a lot of false positives will come if you are doing to people who have got very little chance of. They may be contact, but it is negligible transmission from person to person, 0.6% chance. That is also maybe because those three cases are also not very clear. They assume that there is no environmental exposure. They are not sharing common environment. There have been other anecdotes. The person has just shaken hand, and boss said hi, and that person. But you don't know they are staying in the same hotel, same environment, same year. The environment is a major determinant in epidemiology. We have to keep like a detective work, we have to find for everywhere. We have to look for the weapon which may be hidden in the environment, the agent, rather than person to person. You have to correlate everything in like a detective work. In like the pathophysiology, it is the vessel endothelial. So this, then was talking about the paper. I was talking about the university collaboration. I was talking about the disease X, hantavirus has been listed. And WHO is desperate to regain its credibility, which was badly hit during the mismanage of the previous pandemic. And WHO is desperate to get pushed through the WHO pandemic treaty and amendments to the international health regulations. So it would definitely not like to miss any opportunities of this nature, where you create a thing, something out of nothing, mismanage it, start testing, yeah. So we have to be very, very aware. We have to follow. And as I said, Universal Health Organization is a watchdog. So that's why we want to put it on record. I have already we have already put it on record in Hindi. So I thought let us make it in English also for a wider international audience. So some of the evidence I will be sharing. So we are more or less, we are amateurs in this, but we just try to convey the information. So because we are not full-time journalists or full-time, we are professional people. Some are working as professors. I am emeritus, so I have. So the fundamental flaws in investigations are there, which I have already pointed out. And this type of suits and all, people, it creates a very disruptive impact on the general population. It creates panic. So this is the study. Anybody can check it. It is in the open access. Journal of Infectious Disease 2021. Evidence for human-to-human transmission of hantavirus, a systematic review. So they have reviewed 22 studies to find out, and antivirus also, and strain, Andy strain also, and they found hardly any evidence of person-to-person transmission, even of the Andes virus, on large population, and 476. So they went in depth and they found most of the time the association of person-to-person spread was based on bias, confounders like same environment. So this is that we searched 28 February, Cochrane also, MBase and all, and a number of studies to proper method they followed, and 22 studies and one prospective study, one cohort study of Andes strain in Chile with serious risk of bias. The serious risk of bias was the common environment. Evidence from comparative studies, strongest level of evidence available, does not support human-to-human transmission of hantavirus infection. Non-comparative studies with a critical risk of bias suggest, non-comparative means you have not control for the environment. Human-to-human transmission of Andes may be possible. The word is may. It is not that it spreads. And as I said, they found only 3 such cases when they excluded the common environment. So this is the cohort study, Chile, but a serious risk of bias, ROB is risk of bias, increased risk of human-to-human transmission of Andes in household contacts for sex partners with exposure to saliva, deep kissing. But again, households also have the same rat infestation, same house. Then of the 476 household contacts, only 16 developed hantavirus pulmonary syndrome. So that was the secondary attack rate was out of 476, the secondary attack rate was 3.4, and the remaining 460 were negative. Only 3 of the 16 were claimed to be definite human-to-human transmission because co-exposure to rodents was unlikely. So even if we take secondary attack rate, even if we take do not control for co-exposure, the secondary attack rate was 3.4%. Out of 476, it was 3.4%. So here out of 140, 49, you are getting 8 cases on the SIP. It is not fitting in the secondary attack rate, even if we say, chalo, we do not control for. And if we control for environment, so out of 476, only 3% to percent. So here 9 is not fitting in. So here are some of the that we think it has not been properly investigated, or there is a cover up because there are a lot of commercial interest are there. The ship would not like its reputation to be tarnished, that there are rats on the ship, whereas rats on the ships are just common things. We just can't avoid rats on the ship. The study of pool analysis of 476 people with Andes strain of 100, only 3 human instances of person-to-person transmission with certainty. This gives a secondary attack rate of 0.6%. So this 9 cases is not fitting in. So we have to really take out the ship and take out every plank and everything to find any rat droppings or any. So this was the study. Balance of evidence does not support claim human-to-human transmission of Andes strain, well-designed cohort and case course at control for co-exposure to rodents are needed to inform public health recommendations. Did not find evidence of it. Report to human and other studies in Argentina and Chile. So even the Andes strain also doesn't spread as per the available evidence, which is pretty recent. And now this was the flight, the Dutch flight who attended to the passenger that died of hantavirus, that lady of the first patient, tested negative for the virus, although the crew member was hospitalized in the Netherlands with mild symptoms after WHO official confirmed the negative results. So he said this is the fear we have, that lot of people will panic and there will be a lot of RT-PCR and false positive also, and then they will be quarantined, they may be locked down, school closure. So we are afraid that this again this time the agenda should not be hijacked with and academicians also have got conflict of interest, and there some of them may be seriously into this phobia also, that a big pandemic is coming, and of course they get huge grants and the academic career also flourishes in pandemic. This is I was talking about, that Korean University Vaccine Innovation Center collaborates with Moderna on mRNA-based hantavirus. This is pretty recent, 2024. And 26 we have got this ship. Almost like a petri dish, this ship has become. All eyes are on that. Whereas the whole world is in fact having rodents with hantavirus. So this is the 4th July Vaccine Innovation Center in Korea, where the Moderna has fully supporting the development. So academics falling in partnership with the industry also generates various conflicts of interest. Vaccine Center full-scale collaboration with global pharmaceutical company Moderna to develop an mRNA-based hantavirus vaccine. So that is also, yeah, the WHO has also designated hantavirus is listed as one of the future potential virus which can lead to pandemics. So this is the research response to pathogen during a pandemic. And as per that, if the WHO is capable of pushing this through, bringing in the WHO treaty, they will impose lockdown, they will impose vaccine mandate, they will, because the vaccine is already ready. Moderna vaccine is almost ready, and the shares have gone up. So this is the crucial time when we have to be asking questions. And hopefully, because if the pandemic treaty is declared, then everything can be censored once again, like it was censored in the past pandemic. And then this is another concerning development in 2021. Hantavirus vials was missing from a lab in Australia. So these are certain nefarious things happening which we are concerned we cannot, we have to keep in mind some gain of function or other things we are worried. I mean, this again, if we talk much about it, they'll say we are having conspiracy theory like they did in the past pandemic. But later, what all we thought was conspiracy or they thought was conspiracy came out to be more or less correct. So this is again DNA virus is also in the pipeline. This is also a recent paper, 2024. Safety and immunity of Andes virus. Look here, like hantavirus now, Andes virus specifically, by needle-free injection. So if they develop and if they can convince the population, the policymakers can be convinced that, look, in the ship, everything spread from person to person. If they work on it and they can raise the full pitch, then this vaccine may become it will be offered, and needle-free injection, randomized control phase 1 study. So a lot of work on hantavirus is going on, and specifically on Andes strain, since 2 years, 3 years, then while hantavirus goes missing, and now this SIP comes, and the narrative is that person to person cannot be excluded, and Andes virus. So We have to we have to do the research once all over again. This is Dr. Birk's hantavirus cruise ship passengers to take PCR test. So this is from the YouTube. I just taken the screenshot. So it's quite concerning. And lastly, as I said, we are a voluntary organization. If anybody wants to contribute, they can contribute. We do not take sponsorship for any drug industry or any political affiliation we have got. We just want to be independent with crowdfunding and bring about the crowd awareness among the people. Our motto is transparency, empowerment, and accountability. So that's all for today. So we would like your feedback if on this, and we thought we should make it in English. Otherwise, we are making this material mostly in Hindi for Hindi speaking population, vast country like India. So I thought, well, let us make it some of important ones. Thought we'll make it in here also. So that's all for today.